Hey guys, this week we're gonna focus our learning on a new method of solving quadratic equations. Whilst in our worksheets, we'll still see some practice questions that require us to use the formula, but a majority of our practice questions will be solving using the factoring method that we learned today. So, let me say something. If we have a quadratic equation, all right, ax squared plus bx plus c. This is the general form that we all know. We can solve this by factoring. Oh, this is equal to 0. We solve this by factoring the equation. All right. So now, I guess you might want to ask the question: how do we factor? Well, all right. How do we factor? Okay. So it's really all baked up in this sentence. All right. It's one sentence tells you how to factor. All right. So the first step, we have to find a pair of numbers, all right? A pair of numbers that multiply to AC, all right? So these numbers that we find, basically, they multiply to AC, all right? Multiply to AC, and basically what this means is just get your A, get your C, and the two numbers have to multiply to A times C. All right, so whatever A and C are, it's what those two numbers should multiply to. All right. So anyway, so we have to find a number. We have to find a pair of numbers that multiply to AC and add to B. All right. So let's multiply to AC and add to B. All right. So that is what we're doing in this factoring regime. All right. So those same two numbers you find that multiply to what A and C would multiply to, those numbers should add up as well to B. All right. That's basically it. It's a confusing statement, but I hope we'll get our heads wrapped around it by the end of class time tomorrow. Okay, so now let me give you an example, and that's where I'll show you how what we do with the numbers that we find. All right, so if we have, let's see, let me say, if we have x squared plus 8x plus 7 equals 0. All right? My first step in all of these would be to get A. My A is 1, my B is 8, and my C is 7. That was my first step in getting, in solving any quadratic equation in any form. All right? So, now step 2, what step 2 would be to write out my quadratic as a binomial. All right. I know this may seem confusing, but we'll clarify it in class. All right. I have my quadratic equation with my x's in front. All right. Two parentheses, my x's in front. So I'm basically kind of reverse engineering my quadratic equation when I solve by factoring. I'm kind of reverse engineering it, as we'll see in class. Anyway, so now to solve this equation, all right, I have to find a pair of numbers that multiply to AC and add up to B. So what's A and C? What's A times C? AC is the same thing as saying A times C. A times C is 7, all right? And what's A plus C? All right? Oh, no. Sorry. What's A times C? A times C is 7, all right? So we have to find two numbers that multiply to 7 and add to 8, all right? And this is very easy for us in this question because it's a particularly easy question. So the numbers that multiply to A and C, in this case for today, is really just 1 and 7. All right? 1 and 7 multiply to A and C. And this is easy because 1 plus 7 is will also add to B, which is our 8. Remember, we need to multiply 8 the numbers we find have to multiply to AC and add to B. So 1 times 7 multiplies to the product of A and C, and then 1 plus 7 adds to B, and 1 times 7 equals the product of A and C. All right, so then what do I do with the numbers I found, which, by the way, is 1 and 7? What do I do with these numbers? All right, I basically just place them in my equation. X plus 1, X plus 7 equals 0. All right, and boom, I have an equation that I can solve. All right, so now how do I find my roots here? Well, I can divide it into two equations. X plus 1, X plus 7, all right, equals 0. All right, so basically what I'm doing here is evaluating, it's solving for X, all right? And here I have two X values. So I have two X values to solve for. So I could even call this X1 and X2 just for my clarity. And I can see that X1, if I take 1 across the equal sign, I subtract 1 on both sides, I'm going to have X1 will be minus 1, right? And then X2, doing the same thing, subtracting 7 from both sides will be minus 7, all right? And this is the method that we're going to work with in class tomorrow. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Short video. Yeah, see you in class. Bye.